Nvidia is in a major bounce opportunity spot, finding levels like 171, finding a nice bounce. But then while the overall market is pulling up, we see Nvidia kind of have some trouble with a small little retracement, even despite quarter three's beautiful results with revenue hitting around a record $57 billion, well above the expectation. So what's going on here, guys? Are we going to continue this bounce narrative, or are we going to flush to the downside, finding levels like 171 once again, or even below that? We'll take you guys quickly to the weekly. Obviously, we see a very strong stock in the long-term picture of things, but now we're finding a bit of a pullback, right? The market fluctuates. The overall market was going to the downside. This is normal price action. Although on the more recent weekly candles, we are trying to hold up here. We don't find exactly a correction. If we go quickly to the overall market SPY, guys, we saw the overall market really correct quite nicely on the last week of trading. A lot of stocks went to the upside, correcting from this pullback that we saw, but Nvidia just could not find that. So that's a standout thing to keep in mind. Although Nvidia is still one of my favorite long-term holds, we're going to analyze what exactly is going on here. So take you guys back to the daily chart. We were built up in this pullback spot. We try to squeeze out here once we hit around that 183 spot. We just kind of break down, try to get that bounce up as the overall market is trying to correct here. And then boom, huge red bar to the downside, really showing that strength in the sellers. But we do try to hold up at that 179. We see a continued attempt and we see a ton of buying pressure, but still a back and forth battle. We just can't get that bounce up, guys. We see this opportunity where we got that bounce right at that 171 being that past support level. Also a little bit of resistance, just an important level, right? We bounce around that zone and 1-2 days to the downside while the overall market's ripping up, guys, right? Quickly, once again, comparing to SPY on the daily, this is how the overall market is really looking. A nice correction, although Nvidia is still dealing with that added pressure to the downside. So in the short term, not the best picture, as we should have seen a nice little attempt back up, reaching levels like 190 or right around that 185 spot. But instead, we're seeing continued added selling pressure. So, if the overall market continues to rip or finds a little bit of a pullback here after such a strong week, we're going to see Nvidia sort of kind of fall back down to these zones of 171, 165, right? These zones where they're very obvious bounce spots. 165 being the absolute bottom of the overall structure we've been battling, right? For painting the big picture, guys, we are really in between that 200 psychological level and that 165. That's a real wide range that we are in, and we're towards obviously the bottom of that range currently. So if we don't find a bounce pretty soon, guys, right, the ultimate bottom being that 165, we're in some bearish territory for the short term. Definitely wouldn't be looking good under that 165. But the good news here, guys, Nvidia still has some really, really good fundamentals going on, right, with the stock killing earnings and with the stock just having a very good track record for consistent, constant, very good news behind the scenes. So technicals aside, guys, you guys could feel very good as long-term traders that Nvidia will get the bounce back here, right? We saw in the long-term picture, guys, despite these little bumps in the road and the pullbacks, that is very normal to be a stock in the market. There's going to be ups and downs. Despite all of this, Nvidia corrects and goes higher each and every time. So really see that bottom being that 165, guys. I do not see the stock falling further than that, right? The highs right here could be a low support level as well, but 165 to me is that ultimate bottom where then Nvidia will find that correction and continue to trend back up to those all-time highs of 212. That's our main prediction here, guys. If we look at the hourly, we see that kind of finding this squeeze setup, and we just kind of flop to the downside. Not very eventful. And this is where we get the earnings, guys. Very nice earnings on the after hours, and we gap up. So this gap up is roughly 5%. So we gap up around 4 to 5%. And right away, guys, right on the hourly time frame, each candle being an hour, we kind of just give way. We gap up, and there's no answer from the buyers. There's no continuation. We completely correct that in 3 hours. Less than 3 hours, completely correct that gap up from the good earnings, right? The overall market is in a tough spot at this point. Nvidia is seemingly reviving the market, and then Nvidia is dumping. This is exactly what happened. And then from there, while the overall market did start to find an answer and the buyers started to rally back, Nvidia just could not rally back. We found that 183 as a tough low resistance marker as it's been in the past, and we just kind of flush, guys. We can't get back there. We gap down, try to correct, but just still no real answer, as we're still trending below that 183, closed at 177. So still, there's plenty of padding on Nvidia, right? You see 171 being a very good zone to hold up at. We see 165 being that ultimate bottom, and we have in my opinion, one of the strongest, best long-term holds that you guys could have. Nvidia is my favorite long-term hold, guys. Arguably the best and most consistently positive stock in the market, right? I do love Nvidia for long term. For short term, we might be in a pretty indecisive spot here, guys. There's no doubt about that, but I think we have enough padding to where you will not see Nvidia trend under or below that 165 spot. I feel very good that Nvidia is going to turn the tide sooner than later. That's a prediction, guys, right? That ultimate bottom being at 165. If the overall market's ripping up next week, week after that, December is a really good month, like historically it is for the overall market, then yes, guys, I think that Nvidia corrects sooner than later, and we go ahead and trend back to those all-time highs of 212 by the end of the month. Not out of the question. We're just on a little bit of an indecisive spot currently, but still love it for long term. End of year prediction. As long as the overall market is ripping up and correcting still from that little mini pullback, we see these all-time highs get hit. Now, let me know your price predictions in the comments below, guys. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like and subscribe button. Stay tuned for the updates, and as always, guys, trade smart. I'll see you all in the next one.